Hello, welcome to The Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob, and in this video, we're going to be looking at Krethusa, I've not said that right, Krethusa the Croneseer. Daughters of Cain are crazy good now. That's the real simple answer. There's a new model coming out for Daughters of Cain. We've got the battle scroll. We're going to be looking at the battle scroll now, and she is wild. Absolutely wild. However, let's not just be all rules crunchy. Let's very quickly kind of take some insight of what she's like as a character and who she is in the story. Because obviously you've got Morathi. She's been the big baddie for Daughters of Cain. But we've got a new contender now. So Krethusa is the Cainite outcast who's developed an obsession with Morai Heg, the ancient elven crone goddess who was swallowed by Sinesh along with the rest. Krethusa was mocked and scorned for her beliefs, and when that obsession led her to be the barbed circler of Morai Heg with its inverted spikes, she gladly sacrificed her sight to gain her new patron's foresight. Apart from it didn't work. Blinded, ridiculed, and abandoned, she wandered despondent for years until the fateful day when Morathi Cain ascended to godhood, which happened about 3 years ago in our timeline, because that was all in the Broken Realms books before Age of Sigmar 3. As the High Oracle split open Sinesh, the sliver of divinity from the consumed gods within slipped out and found its way to Krethusa, who was transformed into the winged Croneseer. So there's some incredible art for this model as well. So she's definitely like a major player in the faction, which I think is quite interesting. And, you know, we have a new matriarch potentially to threaten Morathi. That's what she's there for, and that's part of her shtick. But she's blind. Now empowered with potent gifts of prescience and prediction, the Croneseer has gathered a cabal of dissident Cainites who reject the divinity of Morathi Cain and instead seek favor with Morai Heg. These Croneseer's pariahs move through the shadows to enact whispered plans and resist the increasingly draconian measures handed down from Hagnar, all while Morathi Cain and the loyal Scathborn do everything they can to hunt them down. So you're seeing a fracturing of the Daughters of Cain, which is kind of interesting because you see the same mirrored fracturing in Sylvaneth, where Alarielle is the dominant figure, obviously, but you have Dreicher, this kind of scorched and beat up war veteran that was in the dark fighting against chaos for aeons. So you got this kind of like nice duality between two factions, similarly to what we're seeing with like Cities of Sigmar and the new Dark Oath. Games Workshop are really setting up factions to have effectively a dark side and a light side, and that's quite interesting. I think this is really cool. Okay, let's dive straight in and look at the rules, because the rules are so amazing. So Krethusa herself moves 14 inches, which is great, really, really fast and super mobile, which we love. Has got 6 wounds, a 5-up armor save, but is a lot more survivable thanks to her 4-up ward save. So already pretty survivable, and because she's 6 wounds, she's going to be able to benefit from Lookout Sir, which means she's going to be untargetable if she's near units and stuff, which is all really, really positive. She doesn't have a wizard keyword. She's not a wizard, but she is a priest, and is also a hero as well. So she's going to be able to do all-out defense and all those other things, be able to heal themselves up. Unit can fly, so it's really fast if you want to use it to go grab an objective or do something similar. It's not really what it's there for. It's there for their ability Burnt Offerings. Once per turn in the hero phase, now this is an important stipulation, already this is in each person's hero phase, once per turn in the hero phase. And there's a little bit of an awkward situation in that because it says in the hero phase, it doesn't stipulate when in my opponent's hero phase I would do it. Now, if I was playing like a game with my friend, or even if I was playing an event, probably the right time to do this would probably be at the end of the hero phase, at the end of the middle of the hero phase before the start of the end of the hero phase. So the hero phase is really broken up in Age of Sigmar into the beginning of the start of the hero phase, and the end of the hero phase. That's normally where it's split up. So I would probably wait till my opponent made all their decisions, done all of their stuff, and then I would use my Burnt Offerings ability. Now, it's because there's no trigger in here, I wouldn't, and as a TO, as a tournament organizer, I would never let anyone ever be able to use his ability while someone was doing an active ability. Let's say I decided to cast a spell, and then I'd succeeded with my spell, and I was about to enact the ability of a spell. I wouldn't then let my opponent do Burnt Offerings at that point. Instead, I would say you would have to come to the conclusion of like a decision point as an example. I know that seems a little bit over the top, but it's really worth talking about, and it's really worth clarifying with your tournament organizers and your friends that you're playing with about exactly when you can and can't use this ability, and maybe even when you should. It should be, I think that's a really healthy way to discuss games, and therefore you'll have more fun games. But as a player, the fact that you can use this in each hero phase, 11 out of 10. 11 out of 10. Yeah, good thing being pointed out in the chat by Hamsfan is it should be used in response, not to interrupt. So there we go. Okay, so it can be used in both players' hero phase. If this unit, so as in Krethusa, is within 6 inches of a friendly cauldron of blood, you can say that it will commune with Morai Heg. If you do so, you pick one friendly Daughters of Cain unit wholly within 9 inches of this unit that does not have the Scathborn or Medusai keywords, or Meliusai, or Marathi, the Shadow Queen rules. So effectively, it's not going to affect snakes, it's not going to affect the harpies, it is going to affect witch elves, it is going to affect Sisters of Slaughter, it's also going to affect Dark Riders, Doomfire Warlocks, and also Shadow Stonkers, which is pretty great. So some really fun stuff you can do there. One of the key takeaways is that Dark Riders and Doomfire Warlocks move like 12, 14 inches, something like that, and I think that's going to be something you'll see that's very, very effective. So what happens, you've got to be near a cauldron of blood, which means you've got to bring a cauldron of blood. But if you are bringing cauldrons of blood, you're probably bringing them because you're running Sisters of Slaughter or Witch Elves. And there's been very successful armies. People have been playing at events with Witch Elves and Sisters of Slaughter, and they've done really well with them. Okay, what happens if you do this? On a 2+, you can pick one of the following prophecies to apply to that unit. So this character is going to do it to a unit within 9 inches. A unit cannot be affected by the same prophecy more than once. Okay, you've got 2. Prophecy of Silence. Until the end of the turn, enemy units within 3 inches of this unit cannot receive commands. Now, that's obviously really good if you pop that on a unit and you send it off to go do some fighting. They're not going to be able to do all-out defense. They're not going to be able to get all-out attack. They're not going to be able to use Inspire and Presence if they're locked in combat. It's pretty good. It's pretty nice. It's especially good if that unit is like already locked in combat or something similar if you use it in your opponent's turn. That's quite interesting. Then you've got Prophecy of Dark Wings. I think this one is really good. This unit can immediately make a normal move if it has not already made a normal move, retreated, or been set up on the battlefield in this phase. This is great. Because it's done in the hero phase, this means, so let's just start with, it's our turn. We're playing Daughters of Cain. We have a unit of Dark Riders, and we just move them 14 inches up. It's already really good. And then we do another 14-inch move in the movement phase. This means that we can move block or screen some of our opponent's very aggressive units. Because it's done in the hero phase, we could move up a unit of Doomfire Warlocks 14 inches and then use their warscroll spell or cast an endless spell, which is also really nice. And then, really excitingly in the movement phase, move back. So there's some really fun little tricks there. Where it becomes really crazy is the fact that you're going to be able to use it to like murder lust effectively in your opponent's hero phase. So once they've done all their movements in the, done all their stuff in the hero phase, you can be like, cool, I'm going to move this unit, its move value somewhere on the board. That's very, very strong. So you can use it to like block units from charging, use it to retreat units out of range. You could, at the very start of the hero phase, say, well, not the start of the hero phase, after the start of the hero phase, because that's a very defined section of the game. Once the hero phase begins, you could be like, by the way, I'm going to use my Burnt Offerings ability now. Before you do anything, and why would you want to do that? You might want to move a unit outside of Blizzard range, as an example. You might want to move a unit outside of a spell range, so your opponent... You might want to move a unit outside of range so you can do some sort of battle tactic. Who knows? It's really, really clever. It's very hard to do, though. You've always got to be near a cauldron of blood. That unit has to be within 9 inches. So it's going to be hard to organize, but could be very powerful. And then finally, you've got the Prophecy of Reclamation until the end of the turn. While this unit is contesting an objective, enemy units can only contest that objective if they have the hero or monster keyword. Again, this is going to be really, really effective. A couple of reasons. Number one, you do it in your opponent's hero phase. You can make it so that an objective they thought that they were holding, they no longer hold. And so a monster or a hero that they were going to use to charge towards you has to go towards an objective to be able to score some points. So you're going to be able to control their movement. Or do it in your turn, and you could just make it like, well, you're not going to be able to move a character on there now. So even though you have a lot of models, I just have one single hero holding the objective, and that's all I need. So you've got some real clever abilities there, which are going to be very, very effective. So that's very good. So that's her burnt offerings ability, which is her main thing. And there's like a positive and a negative. The abilities are really strong, positive. Very difficult to utilize because you need to be near a cauldron of blood and you've got to be wholly within 9 inches of the unit. So difficult to do. Therefore, that's going to be challenging. She's very cheap as well. She's 170 points. But that's not where we finish because she's also a priest, which is pretty fun. Murder Crows is her prayer. And it's got an answer value of 4, so it happens on a 4+, and a range of 18 inches. You're going to be able to add +1 to this, probably, because you're near the cauldron of blood. And if answered, pick one enemy unit within range and visible to the chanter. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds, then roll a dice. If the roll is equal to or higher than the wounds characteristic of that enemy unit, subtract 1 from the hit rolls for attacks made by that unit for the rest of the battle. And this feels like this is very, very strong. So if you'll be able to combine this with any other minuses to hit, this means that that unit is going to be very weak. And you could take an elite unit, you know, something that's like 2 wounds or 3 wounds, and 50% of the time, or either 66 or 50% of the time, you're going to make it so it's permanently -1 to hit, which is really, really, really nice. It's very, very effective. And all of this for the cheap price of 170 points is really good. I think what's fun about this build is that it's got so much scope for being very engaging and strong. However, it's very difficult to manage, which is good. Now, this is obviously just using Krethusa in the Croneseer, using Krethusa the Croneseer in Daughters of Cain, and I'm sure there's lots of options to do that. She also is going to be getting her own army of renown. Now, all of the details, there is an article up where there's lots of rules on this, but not all of the rules are out. And so I would feel like I was doing a poor job in doing a review if I didn't wait until all of those rules are out. But I don't get early access rules to stuff. I don't want them. I like finding out when everyone else does, which is cool. Get all hype, which is fun. So yeah, that's it. Tell me what you think. Let me know what you think of this new Daughters of Cain model. Are you excited? Do you think it's wicked? Do you think, actually, I think it's a bit rubbish? I'm quite excited about it. I think it's really cool. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, please. You could join our Patreon where we've got Discord if you fancy. That would be cool. Either way, have a great day. Thanks very much for listening.